Hello and welcome back to the channel on our continuing voyage to become better blues players. My name's Mark, and in this video we're going to be looking at a bunch of licks in the key of G, blues licks over 12 bar blues that use the BB box. So the way the video is going to work, you're going to see me play an example solo over a backing track, and then I'll come back on the other side and I'll break the licks down, show you all the ideas and techniques, talk about them and teach you the solo. So on with the example. So that was the example there, and what I'll do now is I'll teach you the notes, the ideas, and break the solo down, show you all the licks. Should say before we start, this is a solo that's based on the same backing track we used in the last lesson. The last lesson stuck exclusively to the minor pentatonic scale. Penta meaning 5 means there's 5 notes in that scale. So we're still in the key of G, but in the last lesson we just used 5 notes, the minor pentatonic scale. Now we're going to use the BB box, which actually uses 8 notes. So we're adding some complexity, giving ourselves some more choices and things by having more notes to choose from. The BB box is great because it allows us to easily choose between major and minor sounds when we're soloing. But I'll get into more of that later. Okay, and in the next lesson after this, we're going to add more complexity again by adding arpeggios and chord tones. But don't worry about that, we'll get into that in the next lesson. For now, we're just worried about the BB box. So the BB box, named after BB King, is fantastic for solo and blues, and it's really easy to find. We're in the key of G, so we need to find our G note on the B string. This is how you do it. Whatever key you're in, you find that note on the B string, you play with your index finger. So in the key of G, on the B string, our G note is here at the 8th fret. Okay, it's that one there. And we can give it a shake to make it sound nice. So that's going to be our anchor point. That's our root note, our home note, the note that sounds most in tune. If it's the only note we ever played, it'd sound really boring, but it is the note that we're going to play the most because that sounds nice, and yeah, it's the most pleasant note to sound. So we might wander away from it, but we're always going to come back to that because that's the note that sounds nicest. Okay, so around that note, if that's our anchor point, the BB box basically outlines a bunch of other notes around that area, which all sound really nice in blues. So I'll show you what they are now. 7 on the G string, 8 on the G string, and 9 on the G string. No, sorry, 7, 9, and 10 on the G string. And then we've got our anchor point, our 8 on the B string. Then we've got 10 on the B string as well. And that note sounds really nice if you bend it up a whole tone. Okay, it sounds really sweet because it makes the major sound. Okay, what we've also got to contrast how sweet and major that sounded, at the 11th fret, we've got the minor third, which sounds dark, dirty, and bluesy. So you've got the major, which sounds sweet, and the minor, which sounds dirty. Okay, you hear the difference between those sweet and sour kind of sounds? Okay, so that's 8, 10, and 11 on the B string. Now, on the top E string, we've also got 7, which gives us our major third. We've got 8, which gives us the 4th of the scale. 10, which gives us the 5th of the scale, and that one we can bend up a whole tone as well to get the major 6th. So those again. And again, you see how bringing in that 11 at the 11th fret on the B string makes it all sound nice and dirty and bluesy as well. So that little run on the top E string, we had 7, 8, 10, and bend 10 up a whole tone as well. So those are all the notes that we're going to play. Those are the notes that I used in this particular solo, and what I'll do now is I'll break the solo down and explain all the different licks and how they work. If you want more information about the BB box, as I said, I've done an entire lesson on that in the improvisation series, and I'll put a link into that. But that gives you kind of the rules of, not rules, the guidance on when best to use major and minor sounds in the 12-bar blues chord progression. Anyway, the backing track that I used for this was provided by Butternote Blues, Butternote Music, I think they are. Go check out their YouTube channel; they're fantastic. They let me use their backing tracks, and you can go and try this out yourself over those. And if you'd want a copy of the tab for the solo, drop me a line. Details are in the description below, and I'll email you a copy of the tab, same as I do with all my lessons. So if you want to have the tab in front of you as well as on screen, you have that. Okay, so on with the licks now. This is lick 1 in the progression, and it goes like this. Okay, and now I'll do it nice and slow. So you see how the whole time we're anchoring around that root note of 8 on the B string. Okay, so the actual notes are: we slide into 9 on the G, play 8 on the B string, play 8 on the B string again. So far we got this. And in the performance, I think I actually slid that one down. Okay, so those are the first 3 notes. Then we do the same thing again, but we play slide into 9 again on the G string, hit 8 on the B string, and then this time we're going to hit 10 back to 8 on the B string. So that second part goes like this. And then to end the lick, we just play the same, we play that 8 on the B string again. Okay, so the whole lick, nice and slow. And anytime you're resting on that 8 on the B string, just give it a nice little shake. Okay, so that was lick 1. Lick 2 now goes like this. Okay, and nice and slow. So to play that now, what we do is we're taking 10 on the B string and bending it up a whole tone. And then when we're at the top of that bend, we're going to hold it, and with our little finger, grab 10 on the top E string and let the 2 of them ring out together. Okay, this is hard to do slow, but I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so the 2 of them ring out together. Now, when we've then done that, we're going to bring the B string, we're going to hit the B string again, bring it back down and off to 8. So we've got this. Okay, nice and slow. Okay, so that's the first part of lick 2. And then the second part of lick 2, we hit 10 again. And then we hit 10 on the B string again twice, but this time we're going to give it a little dirty bend just to bend it out of tune before coming off to 8. Okay, and I've talked about these, what I call them dirty bends before, where you're not bending it into the next note. What you're doing is you're taking a note that's already in tune and you're bending it out of tune. Okay, I know it sounds weird, I know it probably sounds wrong. It's a very bluesy thing to do though. You're just bending it out of tune to add some tension to the note. The point is though, you don't ever hold it out of tune. You bend it to start going out of tune, and then you release back to another note. So what we're going to do is at the end of this lick, we do that twice and then come back to our root note. So you get this, because as I said at the start, that root note 8 on the B string, that sounds perfectly fine and nice and in tune, so it resolves nice to that. Taking the 10 and making it out of tune adds tension, so we're going tense, tense, and resolve back to the root. Hope that makes sense. Okay, so that was lick 2. Lick 3 now goes like this. Okay, so the underlying chord progression is moving from the C chord to the from the G chord to the C chord, from the root chord to the 4th, and we're going to emphasize that by targeting this note here, 8th fret of the top E string. That's what the lick is trying to do. It's pushing a bit of tension to resolve to, instead of resolving to the root on the G note, we're now resolving to the C note because that's the note of the underlying chord. If you don't understand any of that, I don't want to think about that, that's fine. Just learn the lick. And the lick goes like this. 9 on the G string, 8 on the B string, and then what we're going to do is we're going to grab 11 on the B string and again twice push that dirty sharp before coming off to 8 on the top E string. Okay, I'll do that nice and slow. Okay, and one more time, really slow. And in the performance, again, I think I just slid that one off. Okay, that was lick 3. Lick 4 now will go like this. And I'll do it nice and slow. Okay, so the actual notes starts with the pull off 10 to 8 on the top E string, then 11 on the B string, back to 8 on the top E string. So we've got, so far, we've got this. Then what we're going to do is we're going to rest momentarily on 11 on the B string, before again coming back to that 8 on the top E string. Those notes all occur over the C7 chord. Then what we're going to do is the chord progression at that point changes back to the root, which is the G7. So what we're going to do is we're going to emphasize this G note by just picking it twice. Remember I said this is our anchor point, our home note. Okay, so that's the whole lick. Again, nice and slow. Okay, lick 5 now, really easy, only 2 notes. We're going to take 10th fret of the top E string, bend it up, bring it back down, and then come back off to our root, which is 8 on the B string. Okay, nice and slow. That's all there is to it. Okay, so that's lick 5. Lick 6 now goes like this. And I'll do it nice and slow. Okay, so what we're doing here is we're starting 9 on the G string, then we're coming to 8 on the where are we, the B string, and then what we're doing is 11 on the B string to 8 on the top E string. Okay, then what we're doing is coming back down, 11 to 8 on the B string, to 9 on the G string, and then we're hitting 8 on the B string 3 times. Okay, once again, nice and slow. Up to speed. And you try and get that rhythm, that bounce in your playing. Okay, that was lick 6. Lick 7 now is over the, so that was the D7 to G7, sorry, the D7 to C7 chord for lick 6. Lick 7 now is back over the G7 chord at the end of the progression. And that's going to go like this. Okay, and what we're doing is we're coming in 9 on the G string, back to 8 on the B string, to 11, and then up to 8. So that pentatonic run that we've done a number of times in this solo so far. Okay, and then when we get there, what we're going to do is going to go 10 pull off to 8 on the top E string, back to 11 on the B, back to 8 on the top E. Okay, so put those two parts together nice and slow. Okay, one more time nice and slow. Okay, then what we're going to do is we're going to come back down to our root note by walking down 11 on the B string to 8 on the B string. And then we're going to end by hitting 7 on the G string. And that note there, we're landing on that one because that's a D note, and that kind of just emphasizes that we're going to come back around the chord progression now. Okay, so let's do that one, lick 7 up to speed again. Okay, so they're all the licks. I hope you enjoyed them. As I say, tabs in the description below for how you get one of those, and I'll send you the PDF of the tab and things. Thanks very much to my Patreon supporters who make this channel possible by funding the lights and the cameras and everything else that goes into this, and also fund the production of the tab PDFs as well for everyone. If you found this lesson useful, if you found this series useful and you want to show your appreciation, please consider becoming a member of the Patreon supporters, or leave a tip in my PayPal tip jar. Details of both of those things are in the description below. Please leave a like and a subscribe, and leave some comments. Let me know what other lessons and things that you'd like me to cover. I hope you've enjoyed this. I've been Mark, and I'll see you next time.